I'm very happy that I see so many of you here so early in the morning. So probably these are those you that didn't party for long or stayed up until now. So congratulations, you made it. I'm very pleased to introduce Max Keidun. He's the CEO and co-founder of a decentralized exchange called Hodl Hodl. He's also founder and organizer of the Baltic Honey Badger Conference. This year's happened 2 weeks ago. I was there. It was a great event. And he will tell you about how to build a peer-to-peer exchange without all the evil stuff that will make you burn in hell, like KYC and AML and all this state spam and nonsense. So please welcome Max.
Hi guys. Actually, I want to say, first of all, not decentralized, peer-to-peer non-custodial exchange, because I know that there's a lot of people rage quitting on Twitter when we say we're decentralized. We're not decentralized, not purely decentralized. So, yeah, I'm CEO of Hodl Hodl, but when I was preparing this presentation, I thought that basically Hackers Congress is not a place to promote something. So I won't say anything about our exchange. Instead, let's imagine that there's a fictional exchange called Sodal Sodal. I will tell the story of Sodal Sodal, but it's based on a true story, so everything is true in that. So I wanted to start my presentation with one quote that I like. I definitely hope centralized exchanges go burn in hell as much as possible. You might think that this quote was made by some kind of Bitcoin maximalist, but actually this quote was made by this guy. Yeah, Amen Vitalik. There he is. Yeah. I like this photo. It's actually one of my favorite photos of him. So it's surprisingly because, well, he wasn't so aggressive like for years, and half year ago on the TechCrunch in Switzerland he mentioned that he's really willing to all centralized exchanges to burn in hell. And so I decided to call my presentation how to build a Bitcoin exchange and not to burn in hell. Again, in this talk I wanted to tell you a story about Sodal Sodal, how people behind the exchange came to that idea and how they actually developed this idea. So in 2015 there was two guys working for a Bitcoin wallet company, and they get paid in BTC. And the problem was that they couldn't, to some extent, they couldn't use centralized exchanges to get their salary, so they was forced to use peer-to-peer exchanges. And at that point, the problem with peer-to-peer exchanges that they weren't secure. They were stating that they're like pure peer-to-peer, but actually they were holding user funds in their own wallet. And another major problem was that their UI UX experience was literally sucking. So that's how idea with Sodal Sodal came into. And the initial idea was to build a secure exchange which was not holding the funds of users and which had a proper UI and proper. So also one of the things what were claiming the peer-to-peer at that moment, peer-to-peer exchanges at that moment, that there wasn't any KYC/AML, although they were holding bitcoins, they were holding coins, and it was just a question of time when they will be forced to do the KYC/AML. So in the beginning, as I mentioned, there was only two guys. So one guy was reading the code, and another one was working on UI, UX, and was testing. And actually, literally, they looked at like that for some time periods when there was hard work and all other stuff. And only after 1.5 years, I think, they were able to hire first engineer, then another one, then another one, then another one, but mostly because of the price of Bitcoin was raising at that moment. So when they started building an exchange, they had many features in mind, but they prioritized that and thought that these features will be useful and will help them not to burn in hell. So the first feature was not holding any crypto or any Bitcoins. Instead, each time the trade or the contract happens, they will open a Multisig escrow account on a public blockchain. The seller will lock Bitcoins in that Multisig escrow account, and then after he receives the fiat, he enters his key, the exchange enters his key, and the coins are released to the buyer. So this is the simple Multisig 2 out of 2, and I know from reliable sources that these guys are actually releasing 2 out of 3 Multisig in 2 weeks. So the another idea was to be cheaper than their peers or than their competitors. Why? Because again, they didn't have any centralized storage, so they can optimize their costs. And the cheaper side was actually almost twice cheaper than their competitors. So their competitors, another fictional exchange, let's call it Original Bitcoins, they was like charging 1%, while the guys was charging 0.6%. And this actually was a funny thing then when they introduced this trading fee, a lot of people on Twitter started complaining that it's too expensive, although these people was comparing them with centralized exchanges like Bitstamp and Kraken instead of comparing them to peer-to-peer exchanges. So of course the UI UX was also an important feature, and they worked hard to do that. The another interesting feature was a testnet. So they built a testnet version of their exchange in order to provide to people opportunity to test how this works. So you take testnet Bitcoins, which are free and you can get it from many sources on the internet. You go to the testnet version of this exchange, you see the workflow, you can trade with bots, you can do whatever you want, and then if you have a real Bitcoins or you have a willingness to buy real Bitcoins, you go to the real exchange and do the same workflow as you do in a testnet. So this helps people to learn. Another thing, of course, no KYC AML. So this was, I think this was the cornerstone of the idea, to provide an opportunity to buy or sell coins without providing your personal data. A lot of educational materials was made, like screencasts, Bitcoin quiz, very extensive FAQ, very extensive reviews. Everything was made to educate people. And of course, no ICO, because, well, people believe that building the peer-to-peer non-custodial exchange without KYC AML doesn't involve in providing or creating tokens and doing the ICO shit stuff. So in 2017, still, and if you see the Bitcoin price increase quite sharply, in 2017, still the exchange was actually in pre-beta, in pre-launch stage. So they faced few challenges. So the exchange was in pre-launch, and before they launched, they actually ordered a few penetration tests. They fixed bugs with a small team, and then in February 2018, they launched the exchange. So the second problem was the team. First year of the work, actually 50% of the staff left and 50% of the staff stayed, and at some point the staff and the team stabilized. So now they have a team of 10 people, around 10 people. Another interesting thing, that founders didn't believe in working from one place, so the whole team was remotely. For some people this works quite well, for some people this doesn't work. Important feature and important challenge to address is the team size. So if you have a lot of developers and you're pouring a lot of developers to fix one bug, sometimes or usually that doesn't work. So you need to prioritize your team size, you need to prioritize people, you need to have, in some cases, smaller team but with larger quality. You need to hire a lot of quality assurance engineers and testers, because you don't want to play with people funds with your customer funds, and you don't want to lose some funds of your customers. So basically, hiring a lot of QA engineers helps you to achieve two goals. First of all, you can find a lot of bugs that will not be able to find with a smaller team. And second of all, this creates a discipline for software developers to provide a proper code and not to make stupid mistakes. And yeah, this slide actually was written by our CTO. I'm not a technical guy, so you can just read it right away because I don't have time to learn that. It's too busy for me. I'm too busy for that. So just read it while I will drink some water. Okay. So yeah, integration system is quite important as well. So takeaways. If you're building Exchange, try to build it SAFU as it's possible. So first of all, if you can't do a non-custodial exchange, do it. Because you don't want to be responsible for funds that are locked in your or stolen from your Exchange wallet. Even if you are building centralized solution, spend money on security, spend money on penetration testing, increase your security team, do internal and external audit, because it's quite important. Try to be as cheaper as it possible, because it's quite important to enter the market that already exists. And by the time the guys was entering peer-to-peer market, there was already huge competition in that. So the price is also relatively important in terms of releasing the exchange. Well, build very nice UI and do a great UX, because it will help you to achieve great success. Educate your users. Because it's quite important for people to understand, and don't be like a dreamer. There'll always be a % of people who won't understand and they won't use your solution. Don't worry about that. There's still a ton of people who will like your solution, who will understand and who will use that. Try to avoid KYC AML as much as possible, because you know Bitcoin is peer-to-peer, Bitcoin is decentralized. And trading decentralized assets on a centralized platform is a bit weird for me, but I do understand the value proposition that they provide to people. Yeah, don't do Piper coin. Don't do any ICO. Trust me, it's a legal trap. You will have a lot of problems. You will most of you will have a bad sleep. A lot of money spent on lawyers and all other stuff, so don't do that. And be cute. Always be cute with anyone. So I'm not cute, but our CTO is cute. Unfortunately, he's not here, so yeah, he most probably will watch this talk. Thank you very much. My pleasure to be here, and you can ask your questions. Thank you.
All right, so I will start off. And you said that right now you're using 2 of 2 multisig.
Yeah, we're using 2 out of 2, and we can already like say it's not non-fictional, so we can speak about hodl hodl.
Yes.
Yeah? The story of hodl hodl is over. Yes. Yeah, we're using 2 out of 2 multisig, and in 2 weeks we will release 2 out of 3. So users will be able to choose how they want to trade when they create an offer, whether they will do it 2 out of 2 or they will do it 2 out of 3. Because in one case, 2 out of 3 gives you a bigger flexibility, because seller, buyer, and the exchange has their own keys. So basically, in case of dispute, you can move funds either to the seller or to the buyer. On the other hand, 2 out of 2 is more secure, because, and it's a secret, but okay. Anyway, for smart people, it's not secret. It's only secret for dumb idiots. So because if you have 2 out of 2 and the buyer is a hacker, basically he needs to break our server and break the machine of user, because we don't store any passwords. So 2 entries. He need to like do 2 entries. In case of 2 out of 3, if the hacker is a buyer, so he already have one key, he needs to break only 1 out of 2. So basically, either us or the seller.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask the other question. How often does it happen that the buyer doesn't sign the transaction? They receive fiat and they say, okay, I just forget
Seller.
about it.
You mean seller?
Seller, yeah. Okay.
We had like a lot of trades, I don't know, more 1,000, I think even more. And out of that, we had quite small percent of disputes, and all of them were solved successfully. So people are really caring about reputation and their rating. We have a reputation and rating system in place. So it's not logical to lock real Bitcoins in escrow, receive money, and then say, okay, I won't release the Bitcoins. It's kind of stupid scamming scheme. That's the first. And the second, there always can be, to some extent, legal consequences. Because when one person sends money to another using the fiat gateways, you can always go to your bank, to your payment system, you can always track the person, or at least to some extent track the person, and ask to refund money, or do whatever you go to police and say something like that. So it's, in our case, since February, we didn't have that cases that the funds stayed in escrow.
And can you tell us a little bit more about how the reputation system works? And especially what I would like to know is if most traders already have reputation and they repeat?
Yeah, we addressed this issue, that we understood that we have a new platform and most of the reputation is on the other platforms, like competitor platforms like local Bitcoins or Paxful or whatever. So we created this feature called peer-to-peer profiles. Basically, you can take your reputation from local Bitcoins and Paxful and move it to HODL. So the people who will trade with you on HODL, they will see that you have a proper reputation on other platforms as well. So that's, to some extent, that solves the issue.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, well, it's kind of simple to execute, and so we did it, and you can use that. It's called peer-to-peer profiles. When you will register on HODL, you will see this in your profile page. Another thing that, of course, we have a simple rating system and review system. After the trade is completed, each user puts like 5-star or 4-star or 3-star rating, writes a comment, and then at some point you just check it out, the comment, the amount of successful trades, and you decide whether you want to trade with this guy or no.
And last question from me, and then I will give it to the audience. Do you support, or actually what would be the user experience for companies? So if we run parallel Polis, for example, and sometimes need to buy fiat, does it work, or is it more geared towards?
No, we do have legal entities that work with our platform. We do have private individuals that use that platform. We actually, for special case for 2 out of 3, why we're releasing that, because we had a lot of requests from huge OTC traders that are willing to use a non-custodial escrow approach to trade large volume, like, I don't know, fiat or Bitcoin. So yeah, there are pretty much an opportunity for legal entities also to trade with our platform. That's not a problem.
Thanks for the talk. I have one question. Are you doing research on how to make a peer-to-peer order book?
Once again?
Do you do research?
Yeah.
On a peer-to-peer order book?
Peer-to-peer order book? Like a common order book among all peer-to-peer exchanges. We didn't do that actually, because we have one interesting feature which also geared towards large OTC traders. We have a private offers feature. So basically, when you post your offer, you have a ticker and you can choose that this offer is private. What does that mean? It means that it won't be visible in public offer lists. So it won't be. It will be only available to your counterparty via the direct link that you will send it. So because large OTC traders, like who are trading with 1,000 coins or 500 coins, they don't want to see other people to see that. So they just take private offers and release that. But for our public offer list, of course, we can do research to some extent. We're not. We strongly believe that we're not competing with other non-custodial exchanges, like Bisque, for example. We do believe that we're competing with centralized solutions that's storing user funds. For example, last year, Chris Beams was attending our conference in Riga, and we spoke with him, and at some point we just came to conclusion that HODL, Bisque, other non-custodial solutions, we're fighting against custodial solutions. So that's the core idea. So yeah, but sharing the offer book, it's quite interesting, but the problem is, again, our team size. It's from one perspective, it's an advantage because there's not so much people. They're highly skilled, very experienced, and with good quality. And there's like a really good level of understanding each other, which is great. On the other hand, we're unable to do as much as we want to do because we have a lot of ideas. We're trying to release new features each week, but the team is small, and at some point maybe we will look at that. We've been asked by people when you will release API. Most probably we will do that in 2019, maybe, I don't know. A lot of people asking when you will add Ethereum to your exchange or something like that. Most probably never. Like, sorry, it's a security time bomb, you know. I don't want like another smart contract to ruin my party, so something like that, yeah.
Okay, so what are your advantages over Bisque, or the differences? Why would I choose HODL over Bisque?
I think there's not so many advantages. I think the important feature and difference is that Bisque is software. You basically need to download that, you need to install that, and you need to, like, we're simpler, to be honest. We're web-based. You don't need to download anything. You just go to the website, you just do it. But there's important feature that, and we usually stress out that, although it's advantage of Bisque and disadvantage of any solution that is web-based. So if everyone will be shut down, the only like platform that we will be able to use to exchange bitcoins will be Bisque, because you cannot shut down software and it's open source. We don't understand that, but we're not competing with Bisque. We're just providing simpler solution for noobs, for people who just want to buy first Bitcoin or like part of Bitcoin. And we're also moving in OTC direction as well. So we have, within our team, we have a lot of connections within large OTC traders. So we are moving in that direction as well. We still have the retail part, similar to Bisque, when like people can trade small amounts, and we leave it like this, and it will work, and it will operate further and further. But we also will have the OTC part with OTC desk, which will be able to match large traders, large buyers, and large sellers.
Crypto?
Yeah, we have actually two options for large traders. So first of all, if buyer knows the seller and they just want to use an escrow, non-custodial proper escrow, then they can use us as a technical solution.
Okay.
On the other hand, we have our dedicated OTC desk, and we have a brokerage arm of HODL. So if we have only seller or only buyer who just want to find another counterparty, we will be able to help him or to execute that trade.
Okay, so I understand. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, so, but yeah, the difference between us and Bisque is, yeah, Bisque is a bit more complicated, but Bisque is truly decentralized.
And if your exchange is web-based, I have to validate the files, the JavaScript, everything you provide each time to be sure that you aren't sending me something modified. For Bisque, I only validate the signature once.
True, it's always a trade-off, and we're not open source as well, because For us, it's a treat. Why we are like not doing the API thing yet? Because again, if you provide a part of your code to people, then it's always a security threat for you. Without the API, it's a bit more secure.
All the source code, it's a lot better than being closed source.
I don't
when
know.
it comes
I don't know. You need to on that matter. You need to speak with our CTO. So because you know you can write him in Twitter. He usually responds in times when he don't write about kittens and whatever that you do.
Topic, but security by obscurity, it doesn't work. It has to be
but
open.
you know the interesting thing is that we are, first of all, we're a business project. We're not open source solution, and we're there to earn at least some money. We're there, of course, with our idea to provide opportunity to buy Bitcoin to anyone in the world, but we're a business project, and these are business decisions that we make.
Okay, I understand.
Thank you.
Thank you for talk. I was